name is Rafael, you watch Rock and Roll Garage, and I'm gonna tell the story of the man who introduced Paul McCartney to John Lennon. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment. Well, his name was Ivan Vaughan, and he was a good friend of both Paul and John. However, John and Paul didn't knew each other back then. Ivan was born on June 18, 1942, which is the exact same day as McCartney, and he used to play T-chess bass part-time in Lennon's first band, the Quarrymen, and he was the person who made the connection between the two. But he actually didn't become a professional musician. He later studied classics at the University College of London and became a teacher. After fame, Lennon and McCartney continued to support him. They put him on the payroll of their Apple company. He was in charge of a plan that never took off, which was to set up a school with a 60s hippie-style education ethos. But his wife, Jan, she was hired by Lennon and McCartney to help with them with the French lyrics to the track Michelle, which was released in 1965 on the album Rubber Soul. Sadly, in 1977, at the age of 35, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease that made him write a book about his life with the disease called Ivan, Living with Parkinson's, released in 1986. The teacher who had a son and a daughter, he died of pneumonia in 1993 at the age of 51. And this is a brief story about who Ivan was, and I'm gonna tell you how he made this connection between John and Paul. Paul recalled this in an interview with Charlie Rose back in 1991 that were transcribed, and it's a really interesting story. This is what Paul said. I've met John, I think, when I was about 15 or so. I had a friend, a very good friend of mine called Ivan Vaughn, who I went to school with. He was born on exactly the same day as I was, so we became friends because of that. He lived in a place called Walton, and he said, I've got this great mate, you should meet him. You know, this mate got a bit of a group. It was what they used to call skiffle groups. It was an early kind of acoustic blues kind of things. Lots of guitars. They used to have washboards. So John had this skiffle group, and he, Ivan, said they were playing on Saturday at Wilton Village Fete. He said, you should come along. And I said, great, I will come along. I remember coming to the fete and seeing these people on stage and seeing John in a checked shirt with a sort of a coif hair and singing this song, doing great, looking great. But he was singing all the wrong words. It was a song called Come Go With Me by the Del Vikings. But because they were supposed to be a skiffle group, plus he didn't have the record, so he just made it up. He was kind of singing, come go with me to the penitentiary. And he was making all this stuff, and I was, who this person? But then I met a little later that day, I met him. I was surprised at how drunk and horrible he was, because I was younger than him, and he was just acting like a grown-up because he was 16, getting a six-pack down, and it was Saturday, and he was getting going. I was later to learn those tricks, but I was a little bit innocent. I remember this guy sort of just smelly breath over my shoulder. He said, joking. We played around backstage that day. My friend took me to the backstage. It was a little church hall. Anyone could have got in, but we just went along there. A few of the guys were just sitting around waiting for the evening performance. They played in the afternoon at the fete, and they did the evening. We were jamming around, and I knew this song called 20 Fly Rock by Eddie Cochran. I knew all the words, and this was a great currency in those days. If you knew all the words, they would wanted you in a group. It was like, we can chuck him out next week, but he knows all the words. And we often traveled miles to get words or a chord. B7, we clear across Liverpool to get B7. I still know it. So what happened was, after that jamming, I think I just went back home and forgot all about it all. I was cycling around that area about a week afterwards. One of the fellas at the group came up, and he was on his bike too. And he said, hey, they want you to join the group. They thought that was great. You knew all the words. basically I knew only that one, and I got George Harrison in because the group later because he knew a song called Runchy by Bill Justice. So yeah, we had two songs then, and John didn't know Come Go With Me, so we were safe. It was a very innocent. We just got together, a band, and we were terrible, very, very bad. And we were very bad for a few years. We sort of get off to Hamburg and improve it a bit because we were just working so long. So this is just a bit of this wonderful story. I mean, the Beatles are one of the most important bands of all time, one of the most influential bands. Music wouldn't have been the same without them, and they might never have existed if it wasn't for Ivan Vaughan, who made the connection between John and Paul, and consequently George. George and Paul were good friends for a few years before. They knew each other for a few years, but if this connection with John didn't happen, maybe the Beatles certainly wouldn't have been the same. And, you know, all the music could be quite different these days. And as I told you in the beginning of the video, Ivan sadly passed away too soon. He fought Parkinson's disease for a couple of decades. And when he died in the 90s, Paul was really moved by it because they were friends till the end, really good friends. And he even, that even inspired him to start writing poetry again, something he didn't do since he was quite young. And he wrote a really touching tribute to Ivan that was published on a poems book that he released in the 90s. And this is what he said. This is the poem called Ivan, a small part of it. Two doors opened on the 18th of June. Two babies born on the same day in Liverpool. One was Ivan, the other me. We met in adolescence and did the deeds they dare us to. Jive with Ive, the ace on the bass. He introduced me at Wilton Fete, a pal or two. And so we did. A classic scholar he was, and rock and roller me. As firm as friends could be, creme loco navel, creme rock pie, a tear is rolling down my eye. On the 16th of August, 1993, one door closed. Bye-bye, Ivy. What a wonderful tribute to his late friend. And I mean, it's just a wonderful story. It's one of those things, you know, that, you know, imagine if this didn't happen, you know, my life could have been completely different. And we all have these moments in life, you know, those small, you know, those small, you know, acts by us or by other people who changed our lives in a good way. And I mean, for Paul and John, I mean, they were very, very talented. They could have make it on their own as sole songwriters or with other bands because they were absolutely amazing. But the size of the Beatles, the importance of the Beatles, it was a unity. And without especially Paul and John, who were the main songwriters, things could have been really different. And that's why I think this is a wonderful, wonderful story. And Ivan is one of the most important people in music of all time. Although he didn't become a professional musician, he changed the course of music, of rock and roll music especially, after he decided to make this connection between Paul and John. So it's a wonderful story. I hope you liked the video. If you want to read more and know all about this, you can go to the description and visit the article we wrote about it. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and leave your comment. Thank you for watching, and I see you later.